Dave the Diver is a game that gives off a very deceptive first impression. Vibrant colors, a light-hearted vibe, cozy pixel art, simple yet addictive gameplay, it ticks every single box for a true indie title, except it isn't. Or, well, at least not quite. This game deliberately hides a huge chunk of its content from the player just so it doesn't overwhelm you right out of the gate. It lets you ease into the basics, much like our main character easing into the water, and touch only the tip of the iceberg, only to expand your horizons over time, teach you more, and make you realize just how misleading that first impression really was. In this video we're going to dive into all the major, including hidden, mechanics of this fascinating game, but first, as always, let's start at the very beginning. The game greets us with a beautifully stylized cutscene showing a warm golden beach with blue ocean water washing ashore. Relaxing in a lawn chair is a guy with tons of free time and a fairly respectable belly. Suddenly the phone rings and our protagonist, Dave, answers it, only to hear an extraordinarily tempting offer he simply can't refuse. He grabs his bag and immediately takes off, heading straight to the meetup spot. Dave finds himself on a yacht, drifting in a small sea bay. Waiting for him there is his old pal Cobra, who begins telling Dave all about this unusual spot. He explains that the bay has a unique quirk. Every time you dive underwater, the size, the terrain, and the entire ecosystem shift. Cobra sees incredible potential in this for his new business venture. Dave gets a weird feeling and begins to realize he wasn't invited here just for the sushi. We take our first dive and head underwater, where we go through a basic tutorial on swimming and, who would have guessed, catching fish with a harpoon gun. Once we get the hang of it and catch a couple of fish, we head back up to the yacht, where Cobra continues filling us in. He says he has a friend who is an insanely skilled sushi chef, and right here, together with this chef, Cobra opened a new sushi restaurant that serves dishes made from fish freshly caught in this very bay, which somehow miraculously contains marine life from all over the world. Dave accepts Cobra's invite and becomes the newest employee of this fledgling business. We sail over to the restaurant and meet the sushi chef himself, Bancho. He asks Dave what kind of sushi he likes, and after getting a fairly mundane answer, he passionately goes on about how special this food really is, since it blends the very soul of the sea and the land. Most people have only tried the most basic sushi options, but Bancho refuses to accept that people will live their entire lives without tasting the incredible gifts Mother Nature has to offer. Fixing that and feeding everyone is his true calling. Suddenly everything starts to shake and rumble. An earthquake inflicts noticeable damage on the restaurant, but the trio agrees that they have to open tonight no matter what, as it's the only way to make money for repairs. And to prepare for the grand opening, Dave needs to head back out and catch more fish. Since the restaurant only opens in the evening, we have some extra time to gather ingredients. We plunge underwater again and get to fishing. Aside from that, we explore the area and stumble upon an interactive point of interest that lets us call an escape pod to evacuate us instantly on command. We also learn that besides fish, Mother Nature offers various flora, which can later be used as cooking ingredients too. And while fish and seaweed are gifts of nature, down at these depths you can also find man-made items, sunken cargo containers filled with various loot that can help us dive more efficiently. The deeper we go, the more new stuff we find. For instance, larger fish require extra effort to catch, and we'll literally feel it through button mashing mechanics, where we have to hammer the button fast, fully sharing Dave's physical strain. Another addition is predatory fish, which are more than happy to take the initiative, close the distance and strike first, aiming to take a nice big bite out of the diver. But beyond all the different fish, we'll encounter other life forms that also serve as potential ingredients, though they force us to find a slightly different approach. Finally, we return to the yacht with our catch. It's already dark, which means it's time to head to the restaurant and get ready for opening. We deliver the fish and wish Bancho a good evening, but he stops us, saying that starting today, Dave is helping him run this place. Our protagonist is completely bewildered, but Bancho points out that he'll be busy cooking the whole time and there's literally no one else to serve the customers. We get a quick tutorial learning that we'll have to set the evening menu every single day, based on what ingredients are available and what fish we managed to catch before opening. Just as we wrap up setting tonight's menu, Cobra asks us to pour him some green tea. Dave has zero experience with this, so we go through a short minigame tutorial. The core mechanic comes down to eyeballing the right amount of liquid so you land right on the fill line in a single pour, no more, no less. Next up, we're taught how to serve dishes, and it's much simpler. Just grab the prepared food from Bancho and run it over to the customer who ordered it as fast as possible. We can use a sprint button, but we have to manage the stamina of our not so athletic Dave carefully. And with that, the quick orientation is over. It's time to open up shop and welcome real customers. As soon as a few of them pile in, the fun begins. Someone ordered sushi and is waiting impatiently. At the same time, another person is asking for tea. Meanwhile, a customer has already left and we need to wipe down their table ASAP. And to top it all off, our wasabi supply on the right side of the screen is running low, so we need to step away and refill it from time to time, otherwise the kitchen comes to a full halt. After serving the last customer, the restaurant closes. While Bancho wipes the sweat off his face, we get a daily summary screen showing our top-selling dish, total revenue and an overall efficiency rating, which is crucial for leveling up and unlocking new recipes. The day comes to an end and Bancho and Dave take a breather. The game cuts from the restaurant to the open sea, where we see a lost delivery boat get grabbed and dragged underwater by a massive tentacle. A restful night passes and a new day begins. Dave is gearing up to dive when he gets a phone call from a local marine biologist, asking for a favor to collect some underwater samples for her. In return, she promises to make it worth his while. And at this point, the game logically closes the gameplay loop, introducing us to its core cycle. From the start of the day, we dive and explore the underwater region, and in the evening, we head to the restaurant to prep and serve guests. Now let's talk about this gameplay loop in more detail. Even though it presents itself as fairly simple and arcadey, it somehow manages to hold your attention and keep you hooked over a long stretch of time, far longer than it might seem at first glance. I'll be straight with you. The game introduces you to only its most basic, foundational mechanics at first, and then gradually rolls out new mechanics on a regular basis. So if you felt like the game looks fun overall but seems a bit lacking in activities and variety, don't jump to conclusions. It deliberately hides many of its features so it doesn't overcomplicate the opening hours for new players. And honestly, this friendly, maybe even overly hand-holding approach actually fits the game really well, because the overall tone here is very lighthearted and comedic. There are no high stakes, no tension, no rush, you're just an easygoing chubby guy who loves sushi and food in general so much that he agreed to work as a diver harpooner to help build up his old friend's new restaurant, where he also has to help manage operations. As you might have already noticed, this lightness isn't just present in the narrative, but in the gameplay as well. The game is super arcadey and doesn't try to present its mechanics as realistic or sensible within the world. For example, Dave agrees to work for Cobra essentially for free, and they never even bring up pay or any other form of compensation. And it only gets better from there. The restaurant, which remember belongs to Cobra with Bancho as a hired chef who should be getting paid, is actually fully and single-handedly run by Dave, who doesn't even officially work there, yet he has full control over all the money, sets the menu, changes the interior decor and so on. The situation with the bay we dive into is equally funny. All the characters keep telling Dave how unusual and unique this place is and how weird it is that its structure layout, and even flora and fauna keep changing, but everyone is basically just cool with it, and nobody takes this impossible phenomenon too seriously. Obviously, this design element exists primarily to give the player varied content, so you aren't forced to dive into the exact same location with static layouts over and over again. In short, this entire game exists solely to serve the player's fun, and our protagonist, Dave, acts primarily as a gameplay avatar. He lets the player interact with the world and make decisions without getting in the way. Once again, this fits the game perfectly and feels totally organic. You can tell the whole thing was built out as a well thought out amusement park ride, where every single element tries to answer one question: how does this entertain our player? So let's take a closer look at the gameplay itself, what it consists of, what it offers, and most importantly, how it expands on that simple foundation shown at the start. It's worth noting that the first phase of every in-game day, diving, starts with prepping your gear for a specific goal you set for yourself. Whether that's gearing up for a main story or side quest, wanting to stay underwater longer for thorough exploration, or needing to hunt down and defeat a large aggressive fish to get its meat for a special dish. The planning options in this phase can be pretty different. Once we're actually underwater, alongside the predictable gameplay like gathering items and hunting fish, random events will occasionally pop up. For example, a dolphin might swim up and non-verbally ask for help, breaking up the diver's routine and sparking a new side quest that promises a fun gameplay situation and, of course, a nice reward at the end. As for exploring the underwater world, you'll find not only useful and functional stuff, but also things that simply help bring the world to life, making it more interesting and even adding a tiny touch of mystery and eerie intrigue, though only a tiny bit, as this is a light-hearted game first and foremost. Even though the core gameplay is super simple, it constantly tries to evolve and add fresh elements, so you don't get bored of doing the same thing. A great example is the sheer variety of harpoon mechanics. Initially, the game gives you just two outcomes when you hit a fish. Either it's caught instantly or it struggles, requiring you to mash a button to fill a meter in a matter of seconds. Later on though, the game adds so many new harpoon mechanics that every encounter feels like waiting for a surprise you can't really prepare for in advance. You have to react quickly on the fly. A fish might be caught like this, or even like this. And that's far from all the ways the game steadily grows, stacking new simple mechanics on top of each other. Honestly, the underwater gameplay itself is structured brilliantly at its core. You constantly get greedy and want to stay underwater as long as possible to bring back maximum loot, since you can only dive twice a day. But at the same time, the longer you stay down, the higher the risk of making a mistake and losing everything you worked so hard to collect. The only resource that dictates both your dive time and Dave's health is your oxygen supply. If it hits zero because you miscalculated your distance to an exit or took damage, you lose all your gathered items except for one of your choice. It's a simple yet incredibly smart design. Stay down longer to hoard more, but don't push it too far or you risk losing it all. It pushes you to play boldly and take risks because it's thrilling and you'll be rewarded if you play it smart and careful. There's also a very intuitive depth progression system. The deeper you go, the more valuable the loot, but the more dangerous the environment becomes. It's a natural extension of the same design principle: high risk equals high reward. And if you prefer the darker waters, alongside deep sea diving, the game eventually unlocks a new type of dive: night diving. This immediately brings a ton of fresh content. The ability to dive a third time in a single day at the cost of a shorter restaurant shift, a whole new aesthetic and feel, and of course exclusive nocturnal flora and fauna. All in all, the underwater gameplay is in excellent shape, perfectly balancing progression so it never feels like a slog while constantly introducing something new and exciting. Once we wrap up diving and head to the restaurant for the final phase of the day, there's always plenty to do, and you can always expect new features to trickle in. This phase usually goes like this. First, you set the menu using your available ingredients. Then comes the grand opening, which turns into a shuttle run between the chef and the customers while engaging in quick mini-games, like pouring tea or grating wasabi. You keep this up until the last customer is served. It's fast-paced, hectic and intense, which captures the real vibe of restaurant service, and unlike diving, it's over in a matter of minutes, finally letting you catch your breath as you look over your daily earnings. That's the core structure of the restaurant gameplay, but naturally progression kicks in here pretty quickly too. For example, you can enhance your recipes to earn more cash and get positive reviews from customers. Reviews are crucial for leveling up the restaurant's overall status, boosting its prestige and unlocking new upgrades. Also, over time you can and should hire extra staff to help you out. You'll need to balance wages against your budget and check applicants' stats to decide where they fit best. Cooking in the kitchen, serving in the dining room, or sending them out as dispatchers to source special ingredients. On top of that, VIP customers will occasionally drop by with special off-menu requests. You'll have a set deadline to venture into the ocean, hunt down a rare ingredient, and serve up a dish that pleases even the pickiest eater. And there's so much more. New drinks with unique serving mechanics, culinary duels where you play as Bancho to outcook a rival chef, unlocking new dishes which always triggers a beautifully directed and animated cutscene, and even visual novel segments where you get to dive deeper into the characters' backstories. In short, the game makes sure to cook up a wide variety of activities, rolling them out gradually to keep you engaged, entertained, and eager to see what's next. If you're still watching this video and liking what you see in here, go ahead and give Dave the Diver a shot. There are no major catches or deal breakers waiting for you down the line. However, there are a couple more details I'd love to highlight. For instance, about halfway through the game, I hit a really neat moment that pleasantly surprised me. One day, a shy and quirky girl named Maki comes to the restaurant as a VIP customer. We cook her special dish as requested and then help her retrieve something precious to her from the ocean depths. After completing these quests, we form a bond and Maki opens up to us. She asks us to work as a cook here because it's always been her dream. Bancho takes her on as his apprentice. Here's the cool part. By this time, your existing kitchen staff will likely be leveled up with stats far superior to Maki's. From a purely mechanical standpoint, putting her on the line feels like a downgrade for kitchen efficiency. But if you give Maki a chance, put her to work and start leveling her up, you'll find her stats grow significantly faster than regular cooks. Her ultimate skill ceiling ends up being way higher, reflecting her natural talent, hidden potential, and genuine passion for the craft. It's a fantastic little story told entirely through gameplay mechanics without needing extra dialogue, and I honestly wish there was more stuff like this. I'll also add that playing Dave the Diver with a DualSense controller, the PlayStation 5 gamepad, is an absolute treat. The developers went all out with native support, implementing not just standard rumble but all the controller's haptic features. Dynamic trigger resistance and tailored haptic feedback motors are used throughout the entire game, not just in a few scripted moments. If you have a DualSense, I highly recommend playing with it. And if you happen to finish the main game before running out of Steam, which by the way takes around 30 hours, keep in mind there is a paid DLC available. It unlocks a new region, refreshes familiar mechanics, adds tons of new content, and generally does a great job as a solid expansion to an already great base game. Still, let's pull back and summarize what this game actually is at its core. Dave the Diver is a great and genuinely fun game. The light, relaxing tone of the entire experience, the comedic touch in every dialogue, and the charming stylized graphics all come together to immerse you, pull you away from daily routine, and let you happily sink into a delightful world you'll want to return to again and again. The gameplay is very arcade focused and broken up into distinct phases, each offering its own set of minigames. And that set keeps growing as you progress, ensuring there's always something fresh and exciting right around the corner. Everything here is intentionally designed to be accessible and easy to pick up, offering a laid-back experience where you can move entirely at your own pace. The atmospheric soundtrack, sleek animations, and crisp responsive controls create that satisfying flow state that's effortless to slip into and hard to pull away from. Sure, the game won't offer deep, complex mechanics, a profound storyline, or groundbreaking gameplay and quest design. However, if you enjoy simple, engaging games, want to sink into something light and stress-free that still delivers a sense of excitement and progression, and especially if you're drawn to underwater exploration and restaurant management, then you should definitely give the simple, heartfelt, and endlessly charming Dave the Diver a shot. As always, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you want to check out more videos on other cool games, you can easily do so by clicking one of these right here. Also, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you enjoyed the video, and I'd be super grateful for any support for the channel via the links in the description below. That's all from me today, and I hope to see you again soon in a new video.